There comes a time in the life of every thinking person when they must make a decision not about the outer world, not about money or fame or comfort, but about their mind. A decision to rule it or to be ruled by it. For until that hour strikes, until that solemn contract is signed between the soul and the will, a man may live, but he does not yet command life. He may work, but he does not yet build. He may dream, but he does not yet manifest. Success, real success, the kind that is eternal and irreversible, is never given. It is built, forged, commanded from the inside. You cannot buy it, inherit it, or stumble into it. You must become the kind of person who deserves it. You must shape your consciousness into an instrument of exactness. You must learn to think when others react, to stand calm when others collapse, to speak truth when others lie, especially to themselves. And this ancient power of mastery begins not with what you do, but with who you are within. So I tell you today, if you truly want to achieve everything in life, not just the shadow of success, but its substance, you must do these 5 things. And you must do them with the full consent of your will, the full cooperation of your discipline, and the full awareness that greatness is never an accident. It is always a choice repeated daily, in silence, when no one is watching. First, master emotional detachment. You will never be free until you can watch your own emotions rise and fall like tides without being pulled under by them. The average man reacts. He takes his emotions as truth. He confuses mood for meaning. But the builder of empires, the leader of minds, the master of success, he does not react. He reflects. He watches. He responds only after the storm has passed. If you allow emotions to govern your actions, you forfeit your power. But if you command your thoughts, you command your future. Let me repeat that with the weight it deserves. If you allow your emotions to govern your actions, you become a slave to circumstance. But if you command your thoughts, if you learn to detach, observe, and direct, you become the master of destiny itself. Emotional detachment is not coldness. It is clarity. It is standing in the heat of insult, disappointment, rejection, and feeling them without losing your grip on reason. It is watching someone try to provoke you and smiling because you see the game. It is not the absence of feeling. It is the presence of self-possession. Ask yourself, how many choices have I made from fear, from anger, from the need to please, from the terror of being alone, from the hunger to be seen? These are not decisions, they are reactions. And reactions lead to regret. But the man who detaches, who steps back and breathes and thinks he builds, he chooses deliberately. He sees the whole board. He plays to win. Second, build mental discipline daily. Discipline is not punishment. It is power. It is the ability to do what must be done whether you feel like it or not. The weak wait for motivation. The strong act from principle. Your mind is a muscle, and like any muscle, it strengthens through resistance. If you do not give it structure, it will collapse into chaos. A disorganized mind cannot build an organized life. Do not wait for inspiration. Create routines. Set non-negotiables. Train your focus like a warrior trains with a blade. Cut away the trivial. Refuse the distractions. Do not scroll. Do not chase validation. Rise at the same hour. Read, reflect, write, execute, repeat. And understand this. The greatest battle you will fight is not with the world, it is with your own inconsistency, with your own excuses, with your addiction to comfort. The lazy part of your mind will disguise itself as logic. It will whisper lies. You deserve a break. Just this once. Tomorrow is better. But tomorrow is a myth created by the undisciplined to escape today. Mental discipline is spiritual discipline. It is the sharpening of the soul. It is the refusal to betray your future for the comfort of the present. I do not care how talented you are. I do not care how much potential you have. If you lack discipline, you will waste your gifts. But if you build discipline, one decision, one habit, one refusal to give in at a time, you will outgrow everyone who once surpassed you. Third, take ruthless ownership of your inner world. There is no success without self-responsibility. None. The moment you blame, you lose. You hand over your power. You become a puppet to the conditions of life instead of the creator of them. Your thoughts are your responsibility. Your emotions are your responsibility. Your energy, your habits, your values, these are yours to build or destroy. You must become the keeper of your mind. Guard it, audit it, direct it, every single day. Stop saying they made me feel. No one makes you feel. You allow it, you interpret, you react. And once you learn this truth, not just intellectually, but emotionally, you will become invincible. Do not expect the world to hand you peace. Create it inside. Do not expect others to believe in you. Believe in yourself so deeply that their doubt becomes irrelevant. Do not wait to be loved, respected, or understood. Become the source of love, of respect, of understanding. This is not arrogance. This is sovereignty. The kingdom of success must be ruled from within before it can ever be manifested without. You are not here to be reactive. You are here to be responsible. Fourth, practice the principle of thought first. Every failure is a failure in thinking. Every success begins as a seed in thought. Nothing in your life exists that was not first imagined, believed, or tolerated. You are living today inside the residue of yesterday's thinking. If your life is small, check your thoughts. If your life is chaotic, check your thoughts. If your life is predictable, dull, reactive, look not at your circumstances, but at the mind that created them. Thought is the first cause. Action is second. Results are third. Reverse the order, and you live like a victim. Accept the order, and you rise like a leader. Before you speak, think. Before you spend, think. Before you move, think. Before you explode in anger, or shrink in fear, or act out of guilt, think. Train your mind to pause, to question, to challenge the automatic. Say to yourself, is this thought true? Is it useful? Is it mine? Because most of your thoughts are not. They are borrowed from parents, from media, from trauma, from fear. The disciplined mind audits and replaces. The undisciplined mind repeats and regrets. Guard your thoughts like gold, because they are. Fifth, use autosuggestion to rewire your identity. You do not rise to the level of your potential. You fall to the level of your self-image. If you want to change your life, you must change what you believe about yourself. And that change begins in the repetition of thought. Not once, not when you feel like it, but daily, relentlessly, with precision. Autosuggestion is the act of telling your mind what is true until your mind accepts it as truth. Speak your identity aloud, every morning, every night, not in fantasy, but in intention. Say, I am the master of my thoughts. I remain calm in conflict. I act from clarity, not chaos. I am disciplined. I follow through. I trust myself. I think before I act. I create before I consume. I build. I grow. I rise. Repeat it. Rehearse it. Rewire your brain. Because the subconscious mind accepts what is repeated, it becomes the silent engine of your life. You cannot hold a new life with an old mind. You must reprogram your inner world until it aligns with the results you demand. Do not just hope, command. Do not just wish, declare, and then live it over and over until there is no gap between what you say and what you are. And so I tell you again, if you want to achieve everything in life, you must do these 5 things. You must detach from emotion, not to become cold, but to become clear. You must build discipline not to suffer, but to sharpen. You must take ownership not to carry shame, but to claim power. You must prioritize thought not to overanalyze, but to create with intent. And you must use autosuggestion not to deceive, but to transform. These are not tricks, these are not hacks, these are laws, as real as gravity, as absolute as time, and those who obey them rise. Those who ignore them remain trapped in the illusions of luck, timing, and wishful thinking. There is a version of you, strong, clear, calm, certain, who is waiting to be built, not found. Built, thought by thought, decision by decision, morning by morning. So build it, because no one is coming to save you. But if you master these principles, you will not need saving. You will become the one who saves, the one who builds, the one who rises. And that, my friend, is how you achieve everything in life. There is no force on earth more powerful than a mind governed by principle, a mind that no longer kneels before emotion, no longer wanders aimlessly through distraction, no longer answers to the cry of impulse. A mind that has been trained not casually, not occasionally, but daily, ruthlessly, methodically. It is this kind of mind that builds fortunes, moves mountains, and transforms generations. The tragedy of mediocrity is not a lack of intelligence, but a lack of internal order. The people who fail to rise are not cursed, they are merely untrained. And you must understand life will not wait for you to become disciplined. It will punish you with delay, distraction, and deception until you master your mind. Until you say, I no longer react, I respond. I no longer flinch, I focus. I no longer drift, I decide. Let us now revisit and deepen the 5 great pillars, not as principles to memorize, but as iron laws to live. These 5 must become your creed, your compass, your contract with greatness. The law of emotional detachment. Be the stillness in the storm. Detach does not mean deny. It means to feel fully without surrendering control. A mind that cannot separate itself from its emotions is like a boat without a rudder. It spins, it crashes, it drifts, and in time it sinks. You must learn to observe yourself without panic. The mind whispers. They don't respect you. The emotion rises. Anger. The untrained person believes the thought, becomes the anger, acts it out. But the master watches. He feels the heat, but he does not boil. He sees the impulse, but he does not obey it. He steps outside the flame and sees clearly. This power, this radical calmness is not given. It is forged, and it must be practiced in silence, in private. In those invisible moments when you want to scream, argue, lash out, run away, explain yourself, in that moment detach, step back, count your breath, watch the thoughts without following them. Say nothing, do nothing, just see. Eventually you will understand. What you don't say gives you more power than what you do. What you don't do becomes your fortress. The ability to wait to be still makes you a king among reactionaries. Be still and know that you are God, the scripture says. Stillness is not emptiness. It is divine clarity. 2, the habit of discipline. Build the machine of the mind. Understand this. Habits are destiny. You do not decide your future. You decide your habits, and your habits decide your future. Discipline is not about denying pleasure. It is about delaying gratification to achieve something greater. It is the conscious sacrifice of what you want now for what you truly want later. And those who are willing to delay to sit in discomfort will rise while others rot. Let me give you a law. Every successful person has beaten themselves into alignment with their vision. They do not wait for the mood, they create the mood. They do not negotiate with laziness, they fire it. They do not indulge weakness, they train strength. When you rise at 5 a.m. and the bed calls your name, and you choose to move anyway, you are not just waking up. You are rewiring identity. You are telling your subconscious, I am no longer who I used to be. 1 hour of discipline beats 10 hours of unfocused effort. Train in the dark so you can shine in the light. The man who commands his routine commands his results. The woman who owns her schedule owns her power. Discipline is love for the future self. 3, total ownership of the inner world, from victim to creator. You were not born with beliefs. They were installed. You were not born insecure. You were programmed. You were not born afraid of failure. You absorbed that fear from the trembling mouths of those who settled before you. But here is the truth. You are not your programming. You are the programmer. The day you stop blaming is the day you start building. The moment you stop saying, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what am I meant to create through this? That is the moment your life begins. Victims wait for permission. Builders take responsibility. Creators say, it begins with me. Take inventory of your beliefs. Challenge them. Who told you money was hard to make? Who told you love requires suffering? Who told you that rest is laziness or ambition is pride? Audit your mind like you would audit a failing company. Cut what no longer serves your mission. Your life is your fault. But that is not bad news. That is liberation. You are not a product of your past. You are a product of your persistence. Take ownership and never hand it back. 4, the principle of thought first. Thought is the sculptor of reality. Nothing is more important than this. Your thoughts are creative. They are not invisible whispers, they are commands, blueprints, frequencies that mold reality. Whatever you consistently think, you invite. You attract people, choices, and outcomes that reflect your mental frequency. If your mind is chaotic, your life will be. If your mind is organized, your environment will follow. So, what do you think about when no one is watching? What do you believe in the silence? That is the seed of your destiny. Every time you complain, you train your mind to look for lack. Every time you imagine failure, you build a neural highway toward defeat. Every time you worry, you fertilize the very outcome you fear. But every time you visualize victory with emotion, every time you speak powerfully over your goals, you literally rewire the brain for confidence and creation. Thought must always come first. Train the mind, and the hands will follow. Train the thought, and the results will appear. Before success is a reality, it is a mindset. V. The power of autosuggestion. Command your identity. If you do not command your mind, someone else will. The media, the market, the frightened, the jealous, the past, the pain, every voice will shout inside you unless you become the loudest. Autosuggestion is the practice of dominating your own mind through deliberate repetition. It is the daily act of declaring, writing, visualizing, and embodying who you choose to become until your subconscious accepts it as truth. And once your subconscious accepts something as truth, it becomes law. So write your identity in the present tense. I am, not I will be, not someday. Say, I am a finisher. I am focused. I am calm. I am wealthy. I am powerful. I am ready. Say it even when you don't believe it. Say it until your cells remember, until your energy shifts, until your decisions align, until you walk into rooms and people feel your identity before you speak. Words are spells. That is why we call it spelling. Speak deliberately, speak wisely, speak repeatedly, because what you affirm, you become. Let us pause not to stop, but to breathe in this transformation. What I have told you is not motivational fluff. It is the architecture of mental domination. It is the forgotten blueprint of giants. It is how an ordinary man becomes unrecognizable in 5 years. It is how a woman builds an empire when she once couldn't believe in herself. It is how failure becomes fuel, and pain becomes power, and discipline becomes divinity. And all of it, every step of it, begins within. You do not need more information. You need implementation. You do not need more books. You need belief. You do not need more approval. You need action. So take this as your call, your challenge, your contract. Detach, discipline, own, think, declare. Do these 5 things and you will have everything in life. And what is everything? Peace in the storm, power in your purpose, presence in your spirit, prosperity in your hands, and the knowledge that you became the one they said you couldn't be. You must understand, the world is moved by the few who have moved themselves. And the man who commands his own nervous system, who can delay reaction, override instinct, and shape perception, is more powerful than 1,000 men who have only trained their hands. You are here to become that kind of man, or that kind of woman. Not the one who begs for success, but the one who attracts it through sheer force of inner gravity, through stability of emotion, through clarity of thought, through intensity of being. And to be that, you must understand how to use your suffering, not run from it. Suffering is a signal, not a sentence. Every pain you feel is trying to teach you something about your current identity. If you are anxious, it is because part of your life is moving faster than your integrity. If you are depressed, it is because your soul is bored with the false self you keep pretending to be. If you are angry, it is because you gave away your power and now rage at those who remind you. Suffering is the unconscious mind's only language, and those who do not listen to it will repeat it. The emotionally detached person does not avoid suffering. He analyzes it. He says, why am I triggered by this insult? Why does this silence bother me? Why do I crave this approval? He breaks the pattern. He drills into the root. For what you do not understand, you repeat. What you repress, you become. And what you finally face, you transcend. So look your suffering in the eye, not with fear, but with authority. You are not here to be a slave to wounds. You are here to weaponize them. You are here to turn trauma into focus, loss into leverage, betrayal into blueprint. You are here to rise not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. Say it, my suffering ends with me. I transmute it into strength. This is how kings are made, not through comfort, but through consciousness. Through the decision to mine gold from the depths of their own darkness, the law of response over reaction. The average person is a slave to stimulus. Something happens and they must respond. They hear a tone and they raise their voice. They get rejected and they spiral. They feel fear and they retreat. But the elite, the one who rules his life, inserts space between stimulus and response. He slows time. He watches the emotion rise like a wave and waits until it crashes. Only then does he choose. This is freedom, and freedom is a discipline, not an accident. When you live reactively, you live predictably. Your enemies can control you, your past can haunt you, your trauma can trick you. But when you master the pause, when you teach yourself to wait before you act, you become dangerous, you become sovereign, you become a force that cannot be manipulated. How? Train your breath. The breath is the leash of the mind. When the breath is shallow, the mind is panicked. When the breath is deep, the mind is sharp. When triggered, do not speak. Do not text. Do not explain. Breathe. Step outside. Watch the sky. Say to yourself, I will respond, not react. In time, you will feel a new power rise inside you. A stillness, a clarity, a control, and you will realize the strongest person in the room is not the loudest. It's the one who didn't flinch, detached from the need for approval. You will never be free if you need to be liked. Let this truth pierce you. The more approval you need, the more control you surrender. Every time you shape your words to avoid rejection, every time you agree to something just to keep the peace, every time you betray your own knowing to earn applause, you are making yourself smaller. And small people do not build big things. So let me say this with fire. The path to power requires solitude. It demands that you risk being misunderstood, mocked, even hated, because those who change the world are never understood by those trying to fit in. You must be willing to be alone in your truth, to stand firm while others bend, to say no when yes would earn applause, to say yes when no would keep you safe. Approval is a drug, and the detox is pain. But beyond that pain is a life where you belong to yourself. Say it aloud. I do not need to be liked. I need to be aligned. Ends. Let their opinions pass like wind. Let their praise not inflate you. Let their insults not pierce you. You are not them, and you were not born to please those who have not even pleased themselves. The silent war. Overcome the inner critic. Every man has two voices within him. One builds, one destroys, one says, you can. The other says, you're a fraud. One pushes forward. The other says, not yet, not good enough, not ready. The inner critic is not truth. It is trauma. It is the voice of fear, disguised as logic, and it must be faced. How? First, identify it. Listen closely to your self-talk. Write it down. What does the critic say? They'll laugh. You'll fail. You always mess it up. Now look at those thoughts and ask, whose voice is this? Who taught me this fear? Is it even mine? Then challenge it. Would you speak to a friend the way you speak to yourself? Would you let anyone else speak to you that way? Then why tolerate it inside your own mind? Finally, replace it. Use auto-suggestion, speak truth aloud, reprogram with force, speak your power daily, even if your voice shakes. You are not your critic. You are the one watching it. And the watcher is stronger than the voice. Elevate your standards, not your circumstances. You do not rise by getting better conditions. You rise by becoming a better person, a sharper thinker, a calmer soul, a more dangerous executor. Stop trying to fix your life from the outside in. Start from the core. Elevate your standards. Declare, this is what I tolerate. This is how I live. This is what I expect from myself non-negotiably. And when you do, when you raise your standards, life will rearrange around you. You will lose people. Good. You will lose habits. Good. You will lose comfort. Good. Because the higher you rise, the more you must let go of the things that once kept you low. Do not chase a better life. Build it. Not by wishing, but by refusing to live below what you know is possible. You do not get what you want. You get what you require. Vision is not enough. You must possess intensity. Many people have dreams. Few pursue them. Even fewer finish them. Why? Because they lack intensity. Desire is not enough. You must back it with force, with urgency, with daily, deliberate, violent execution. Intensity does not mean chaos. It means focus so sharp it cuts through noise. It means commitment so deep it looks like obsession to the average. It means nonstop movement toward your vision, even if no one claps, even if it takes years. You must burn with purpose. You must carry fire behind your eyes. The kind of fire that wakes you up before sunrise. The kind of fire that doesn't care what day it is, what mood you're in, or who believes. Only this kind of intensity breaks gravity. Only this kind of fire breaks patterns, destroys excuses, and rewrites destiny. So I ask you now, are you intense enough, or are you just interested? Because you will never receive what you are not willing to bleed for. Rebirth begins with death. Kill the old self. If you want to rise, you must bury the version of yourself that was built on fear. You must kill the version that hesitated, the one that begged for permission, the one that flinched at risk, that craved comfort, that stayed silent to be accepted. That person is dead weight, and you cannot fly with corpses tied to your ankles. So write this truth into your heart. No new life is born without a funeral. No elevation without elimination. No reinvention without sacrifice. Burn the false stories. Cut off the excuses. Starve the voices of weakness. You are not your past. You are not your failures. You are not what they said you would be. You are the architect now, the rebuilder, the reclaimer of what was lost. And the moment you declare that version of me is dead, the world begins to rearrange itself to reflect the new you. Say it aloud, I kill the old self. I rise clean. Identity is not found, it is forged. Stop looking for yourself. You are not a hidden treasure waiting to be uncovered. You are a weapon waiting to be built. Identity is not discovered, it is decided. And then it is disciplined into existence. You choose who you are, not once, but every morning, in silence, when no one sees, when it would be easier to go back to sleep, when the weaker voice says rest and you say move. Do not ask, who am I? Ask, who must I become to build the life I see in my vision? That is the only question worth asking. And when you answer it, when you write that identity with clarity and repeat it with conviction, you begin to walk like that person, think like that person, execute like that person. And soon you are not pretending, you are becoming, and finally you are being. That is the power of self-definition. That is how ordinary becomes unstoppable. Your mind is the battlefield. Win there. Win everywhere. Do not be deceived. Life is not fought in the outer world. It is fought in the battlefield between your ears. There, every day, a war is waged. On one side, the voice of fear, comfort, laziness, shame, distraction, doubt. On the other, the voice of truth, discipline, power, faith, and legacy. Whichever side you feed will win. So ask yourself daily, which voice am I obeying? The liar or the liberator? Win that war, and nothing outside can touch you. Lose it, and no amount of success can save you. Discipline is how you train the right voice to lead. Clarity is how you give it direction. Repetition is how you make it permanent. There is no success without spiritual power. Let me now take you deeper beyond strategy, beyond routine, into the realm where true power is born. Success without spiritual grounding is fragile. You may build an empire, but it will collapse under the weight of your own unrest. You must be centered, rooted. You must draw from a source beyond your ego. Call it God, call it spirit, call it the higher self. Call it what you will, but connect. For when you act from alignment with truth, you do not burn out, you burn brighter. You do not hustle endlessly, you execute with divine timing. You do not chase, you attract. Silence your mind daily, listen inwardly. Speak affirmations not just to manipulate thought, but to awaken the divine blueprint encoded in your soul. You are more than flesh. You are will, you are breath, you are fire. Use it all. The final law, what you refuse to quit, will eventually submit. The most powerful truth I can leave you with is this. Success is less about brilliance and more about endurance. The world is built by those who refuse to quit, who outlasted rejection, confusion, boredom, delay, and doubt. If you simply keep showing up, if you keep refining your strategy, sharpening your mind, staying true to your vision, then time will bow to your consistency. I have seen this law break the odds. I have seen the underdog win. I have seen the broken rebuild. I have seen the unqualified rise simply because they did not stop. So write this on the wall of your mind. I will not stop. I will not shrink. I will not be denied. Every day you rise with that fire, the universe takes notice, and eventually, inevitably, it bends in your favor. The crown is not given, it is taken. You were not born to kneel, you were born to rise, to think independently, to act decisively, to speak with authority, to build with purpose, to live with relentless focus. So take the crown not by waiting, not by begging, not by hoping, but by becoming. Become the one who does not need a savior. Become the one who outlasts the storm. Become the one whose silence is louder than their critics' noise. Become the one whose discipline builds cathedrals while others complain about the weather. The world bows to the masterful, not the emotional, not the reactive, not the scattered, but the one who owns himself. And that can be you. If you do these 5 things not once, not sometimes, but as your way of being, then yes, you can achieve everything in life. You will not just succeed. You will awaken. You will command. You will build. You will lead. You will become. And that, my friend, is the purpose of life itself. Now go and build the world your mind dares to imagine.